Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of Formula S, SWW's Formula 1 podcast. I'm AJ, Mike's here as always. Yeah, and so this is the first show where we will be going over cars on track. But before we do that, some news that came out before races. Actually, I think some of this stuff came out between, but it's news to cover before races. Fernando Alonso is back in F1 next year at Renault, rejoining the team that he won his back-to-back world titles in 5 and 06.
I have a question.
Yeah.
That's how you pronounce that word? I thought it was Renault.
I think in the States you would. It's French, so it's Renault.
So it's fake words.
It's French.
Fake words. Okay, continue.
It looks like Sebastian Vettel is most likely out of a seat. He has an interview. Martin Brundle scheduled Eve day before this goes up, so we don't know what it's going to be. But Red Bull has already said no. Mercedes just re-signed Valtteri. McLaren's full. Renault's full. Racing Point said that they're not going to drop anybody. Alfa Romeo could do it, but they'd have to get rid of a driver. Haas could use them, but they can't afford them. Williams has already said that they're good. So, a four-time champion is getting kind of out sport on not his terms. Which is interesting to see because, I mean, other than Lewis Hamilton, he's the winningest driver on the grid. And everybody's like, nope, don't want him.
So why? So is it just a cost thing? Like why do you feel that that it's just not gonna happen?
I mean, the problem is a lot of these drivers had contracts that were going to end this year because 2021 was supposed to be new regulations, so basically starting from scratch. So then these drivers were like, okay, we'll get through 2020, and then we're all free to do it. And obviously with the shutdown happening, the FIA has pushed back change of the formula until 2022. So the cars are going to stay the same for 21. And so I have a feeling a lot of the teams are like, okay, we just need the drivers that we have. You know, we don't need to be teaching somebody this car all over again. Yeah. Only to then teach them a brand new car for 22. Yeah, I mean, it was weird to see Red Bull completely shut him out. How he won his 4 world titles there. Mercedes makes sense for not signing him. Got a good thing going there with Valtteri. Yeah, I don't see a seat for him this year unless Alpha gets rid of Kimi Räikkönen for next year. Which would be hilarious because Kimi left Ferrari to go to Alpha, and then Ferrari driver would follow. Alpha is the junior team so it's not a huge surprise to see, but Um, Next news story: Sochi and Jello are added to the calendar for later this year. Sochi's been around since 2014. It's a snooze fest of a race.
Why? It's just the track's bad.
It's just boring. It's supposed to look like a street circuit,
Hmm.
but it's it's got these concrete walls that are super high, just for safety. But um, yeah, and it's just not a fun track. It's not super fast. There's nothing that really like makes it fun. We'll get into like Austria and Hungary, kind of what makes them fun, but just it's always been a snooze fest. It's always like somebody in the top three is that right?
Hmm.
There's no, there's not a lot of chaos at the track. It is the site though of Vettel going off about somebody ramming him in the fucking rear, um, like a torpedo, which happened to be the only Russian driver on the grid, Daniel Kvyat, now drives for Toro Rosso. It was when he was driving for Red Bull, which that video was hilarious. But Mugello is a new track to F1. It's been hosting, I guess, MotoGP, so motorcycles.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's been hosting that for a while. Ferrari owns the track,
What?
along with Fiorano and a couple others. Which it's only fitting that they own it because it'll host Ferrari's 1000th Grand Prix. Which, I mean, that's a huge deal. They had a huge hullabaloo last year about F1 reaching 1,000 races. So this is Ferrari's 1,000th race. They named the car the SF1000. Yeah. Mugello is pretty tight, like Hungary, like the Hungaroring, which is obviously the next race. So I think we'll get a good look at how these cars handle kind of these tighter tracks and how the drivers are willing to drive them. Obviously, it'll be later in the season, so drivers will have figured the car out a little bit more, how they can dive in and stuff like that. But Jello's definitely going to be in DRS Fest for overtakes. It's only got one DRS zone on the main straight. It's not
Mm-hmm.
super long, so it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, the fast cars will be able to get it done, for instance, speed, but I mean, the mid pack, it's pretty tight in terms of uh, there's not a car that's going to walk away else. So that's pretty cool. The rumors are that Hockenheim, Imola, and Portimao will be added in October as another triple header.
So when do you think they stop adding races then? If you think it's going to add that late already?
Um, I mean, so the season normally runs end of November.
But they're pushing it back because.
Yeah, so Chase Carey is CEO of Liberty Media, who owns Formula One. Which dude's got a great mustache, awesome. Um, Said that they wouldn't want to run any later than the first 2 weeks in December.
Mm-hmm.
So I would imagine. So we're already going into October, mid-October. I imagine we only see one or two more races added.
Oh wow. Okay.
Hockenheim is turned to the German Grand Prix, which is for the past couple of years been a really, really good race. The site of Mercedes completely botching their 125th anniversary last year. Imola is a return to a track that's probably most famous for killing Ayrton Senna and Ratzenberger. It's changed since they added turns and chicanes and stuff like that, so it's not exactly the same. Portimao is a return to Portugal, but I know nothing about the track. It's not the track that I thought it was going to be. I figured they would go with Algarve instead, because it's Algarve is a little bit bigger, faster. Yeah. Now we get into the fun spot.
The races.
Scene.
Boom, 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 boom.
So to start watching qualifying first Austrian Grand Prix, it looked like Williams had pace. George Russell was doing pretty well. They didn't get out of Q1. I think he was 15, and he was almost into. Haas proves that they have no pace again. Just ridiculous. Vettel goes out in Q2. Leclerc only hits 8th. Leclerc, and we'll get to it in the second race as well, he was the pole sitter last year for this race.
So let's go through these terms so I don't miss anything dumb here.
Yeah.
What would you do? What is the pole sitter?
First. He qualified first.
Okay.
Qualifying Q2. So there's 3 qualifying. Leclerc was over a second off of last year's pole time. Now that can be construed a couple different ways. He did make it to Q3, so he made it to the hot session where this second would really matter. Because in Q2 they're not running the cars as balls out as they would. So that second is a second of just pure pace that Ferrari's lost at one of the fastest tracks. It's the shortest lap time, but not the fastest speed.
Okay.
Racing Point, who Aston Martin next year, look to be a real contender in their pink Mercedes. In fact, there is a got resolved because there was an injunction filed. Let's see, where is it? See if it's been resolved yet. Basically, there's a lot of hullabaloo around their brakes. Because basically what they did was they took a ton of photos and recreated last year's Mercedes for this year's car, which works because they're supplied by Mercedes for engines, so it's basically the same car as it was last year. So, so this is breaking news as of
now.
Ago, yeah. Looks like Vettel's in contract talks to join Aston Martin. They're going to drop Sergio Perez.
So what would that do? Do you think that would change a lot? Like, how do you feel that would change the races?
That would be huge for next year because since the car's been frozen next year, everybody in F1 has wanted to see Sebastian Vettel in a Mercedes. It's the most dominant car. He's one of the best drivers ever. He's known for when he has a car that he likes, he is literally unbeatable. Nobody can touch him.
Really?
Yeah. He just... It's incredible to watch his racecraft in a car that he truly, truly can understand and get in. So if he's going to Racing Point Aston Martin, he will be in 2019 Mercedes. So
Okay.
you can see if Racing Point is better, you know, is clear of this injunction about their brakes, um, it would be Vettel's chance to drive a car that he watched basically away from him. 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Seen anything about? So Renault sued Racing Point. That's how it's working over the tech used in their brakes. And if I remember right, the way that this would work is they can take photos and recreate it. If Mercedes shared any data, that's where it gets.
Really?
Yeah. So with the body, they're fine because they just took a ton of photos, is what they said.
Mm-hmm.
And Racing Point is not shy about copying Mercedes.
Hmm.
They've straight up said, yes, we just took a ton of photos and so yeah, that would be pretty huge to see. Red Bull just straight up has no answer to Mercedes. Kind of in Q3 for race 1, it's just Mercedes 1-2. Just crazy fast. Bottas grabs pole with a 102.9, so that is it's a tenth, I believe, faster than last year's pole time.
Right.
Which, when we're talking about times in F1, especially in the modern, getting things by a tenth or 2 tenths is huge. Because the separation between cars, George Russell was a couple thousandths out of getting to Q2. That's how competitive these cars are. They're just super, super close. It used to be in the 80s and 90s, you would see pole times that were a second faster than second place.
Oh, wow.
So Bottas grabbed pole, and then kind of on his cooldown lap, he went wide at turn 4, and decided to cut the daisies, ruining anybody's chance at a hot lap. So how it works, and this directly correlates into what happens next. When somebody goes off, they wave yellows.
Okay.
And they can, so an F1 track is split up into 3 sectors, and they'll have yellows for sectors. So basically what it means is it's basically any other yellow, right? You have to slow down. Can't advance position. You have to slow down. If it's a double yellow, you have to slow down the intent to stop. Or like the pretense that you might have to stop. So these were double yellows, and Hamilton did not slow down. Just kept going. So he was, it looked like he was scot-free Saturday night, but stewards, who are kind of the adjudicators, looked at footage brought forth by Christian Horner, the team principal of Red Bull, and awarded Hamilton a place grid penalty for ignoring yellows, which means Hamilton does not start the day in second. He starts it. It moves, funnily enough, it moves a Red Bull into second, so they were happy. So we get the 5 red lights. The lights go out.
Boom, boom,
Bottas
boom,
gets
boom.
Bottas gets a amazing start. So does Vettel, which, I mean, he was in 10th, I believe. 10th or 11th, or he was in 11th. Um, the Ferrari's just more dominant off the start than some of the other cars around him, so of course he's going to get that good start. Um, and it's pretty straightforward for the first few laps. This is a 71 lap race.
Okay.
I believe the lap is something like it's just over 3.
Which, correct me if I'm wrong, is that small for a?
That's very small.
Okay.
I mean, we're going to Hungary is another track that's a little bit shorter,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean the average number of laps for an F1 race is between 55 and I'd say 58, based on how long the lap is. But then you have Austria, Monza, and Monaco. They're all 60 or 70 lap races just because it's a faster lap.
Mm-hmm.
So lap 11, Max Verstappen. If there were fans, this place would be just a sea of orange. Dutch fans.
Hmm.
He has engine issues on lap 11, basically the start of 11. He comes through one, car basically just dies on him. And he's bump starting the car because he's got enough speed in the car just through holding the clutch in that he's still rolling. So he's trying to bump start an F1 car, which is hilarious. And actually got it going a couple times, but then it goes into anti-stall, which is like this. It just dumps a ton of fuel into it so that the engine doesn't just stall out.
Mm-hmm.
It turns out to be a sensor issue in his gearbox, which these cars have sensors all over the place, so if the engine suddenly doesn't register gearbox speed or temp or pressure or something like that, ECU will just freak out and shut down.
That feels like very risky.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the cars are built to handle some abuse,
Mm-hmm.
but it turns out these sensors were going. He's not the only one. They're caused by the vibrations from driving over the curbs.
Mm-hmm.
So the curbs are, in this race, they were red and white. Sometimes they're different colors. They're the apex, the shortest distance, have these curbs, and they're kind of like the rumble strips on the road.
Mm-hmm.
So there's divots and stuff like that to let the drivers know that they're on them. And F1 cars basically have no suspension. It's metal on metal. There's no rubber bushings in there. So any vibration felt in the tire translates into the car. And so it's just rattling stuff loose. Which, it happens every year. Somebody has an issue with this at a track. It almost happens at every track.
Mm-hmm.
Except for Monaco. Monaco's the one track where you never see this. So Verstappen pulls into the pits. They try to get it started, and as he leaves the pits, it just dies on him. Just can't get it started. He's the first retirement on 31. Vettel continues his streak of mental errors on lap 31. They move that is eerily similar to a move made in the second race. Diving in at turn 3, which is an uphill. It's an uphill right hand, almost hairpin. And they're just coming off of a DRS zone. So the way DRS works is it's called drag reduction system. And basically their rear wing opens up. So all the drag created by the downforce effectively goes away. So the cars are faster. And you get that if you're within a second of the car in front of you. Um, and the way Austria works, it's three.
So is that the same like in?
What's that?
Is that the same like in? So is it like it's like the slipstream in like video games?
Yeah.
Okay.
Effectively. Austria is basically 3 DRS zones connected by turns. So it's the main straight, turn 1, which is a 90-degree right-hander. They call it turn 2. It's not really a turn. Stretch between 1 and 3 has a slight left-hand jaunt. And if you're on the right side of the track, you take that straight flat out anyway. The cars have enough grip to do that. So that's another DRS straight. Turn 3 is uphill, so your braking is off already. Got DRS potentially, so you're going faster. So braking zones there are really interesting to watch. And then there's a DRS zone coming out of 3, 4. Vettel just overcooks it coming into 3 and runs into the side of Carlos Sainz, which is funny because he's the guy replacing him at Ferrari.
That's pretty good.
To continue the attrition rate, Lance Stroll has sensor problems in his car, so he just drives straight into the garage. Doesn't even stop at the pit box to get wheeled in. He just pulls straight in.
He goes, fuck it.
Yeah. Daniel Ricciardo, who's going to move McLaren, has overheating issues. They can't quite pin it down to what it is. But he has problems, which I think it was like 90 degrees air temp.
Oh, wow.
So it was about 130 track temp. So, I mean, it's not uncommon to see overheating problems in those situations. Continuing the attrition rate, Kevin Magnussen apparently lost a right front brake at turn 3 and just spears off straight, which luckily there's a lot of runoff room there. But it looks like he doesn't even brake. He just goes straight. It's hilarious. It's unclear what caused it, but Haas has had brake problems for years now. What was a pretty good day for Williams, fortunately goes bad. George Russell has issues with his power unit. It doesn't seem to be a gearbox problem. So the way it works, Mercedes builds engines for Mercedes, Ferrari, Renault, and Honda all build engines for teams. But then the teams are then required to either source or build gearbox. So when they heard Stroll's problems with their engine, they were worried. Mercedes were worried. Is it in the engine or is it in the gearbox? And it turns out that Lance Stroll's issues were gearbox related. So Mercedes was like, okay, avoid the curbs to their 2 drivers, to Valtteri and Lewis. Just avoid the curbs at all costs. Laps will be slower, but cars should stay in one piece.
Should. Keywords.
They have to go over the team radio for both drivers a number of times. Tell them, stay off the curb, stay off the curb. Lewis, who, when he's not in first, is a whiny bitch, says, but he's taking more curb than I am. Referencing Valtteri, because he can see him at some points of the track. So, there is a yellow for George Russell's a stricken car. He can't make it back to the pits. His car dies right before turn 4. Okay. So he kind of coasts it into a runoff area. So he has a safety car for those that know NASCAR, the safety car is the pace car, basically.
Yeah, it's the front one that makes sure that no one passes it, and make sure it controls stuff like when there's a major crash, right?
Yeah, so it packs up the field. Everybody gets together, kind of. He sets the race in a way, and it's a really good time to do pit stops because, obviously
You
the
don't get behind.
lap is much longer, so you're not losing any time, or you're losing time, but you're not necessarily losing a ton of position. So a bunch of people dive in for pit stops. As we go green, so the way it works, and actually it's a lot different from NASCAR, is there's a line,
Okay.
and safety car has to be past that line, or a car makes it to the line. Otherwise, they have to restart. So what you'll see is So what you'll see is the guy in first back the up, slow him way down, let the safety car just haul ass, get into the pits, and ideally, the safety car is passing the line as you are reaching it.
Because that way,
get the most speed out of the last turn and heading down the straight. And Valtteri just nails it. I mean, he almost jumped too early. He was basically on the tail of the safety car as it was diving into. Kimi Räikkönen, as he's coming through 9, just loses a wheel, and it just dunk 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 dunk. Yeah, it appears to be a loose wheel nut, so he wouldn't have felt it under safety car because he's not going that fast. But the second they start to get speed and forces into that car, the wheel just is like peace and yeets itself off into turn 10. So obviously safety car's deployed again. Alex Albon, who's a driver for Red Bull, appears to have passed Sergio Perez in the racing point as as the yellows are flashing. So there's a little confusion at racing point of, did Albon make the pass before or after? There's just some confusion there, and it's all over the TV, stuff like that. We get back racing, and lap 61, Hamilton just full-on hip checks Albon in turn 4 and 5. This is the second time in 3 races where Hamilton has interfered with Albon's race. Brazil last year, Hamilton basically did the same thing. Albon was faster, going for the pass, and Hamilton just went wide, either through a mental error or he was like, he's not passing me. So Hamilton is awarded a 5-second penalty, making it not a great day for him. Second penalty. So basically what that means is he can finish wherever. He'll then have 5 seconds added to his time. So anybody that was within 5 seconds of finishing will jump ahead of him. And there's only one car that's really in that zone, and that's Lando Norris. And we'll get later. Leclerc makes a super, super daring dive into turn 3 on lap 66. Which we'll talk about in the second race. But if he could make this exact move in the second race, it would have been amazing. But he doesn't. Second race, but he clears Perez here. Not even 3 laps later, Perez gets taken by Lando Norris. So what was going to be a podium finish for Sergio Perez because of the penalty now means he's at best fourth, potentially
At
fifth.
best.
Yeah. The McLaren engineers come over the radio, tell Lando, "Hey, got 2 laps. Hamilton's got a 5-second penalty. You're just under 7 seconds behind him right now. Qualifying laps, basically. It's called Scenario 7 for McLaren." And Lando puts on the lap of his life on the final lap. It was 5.6 or 5.7 seconds behind Hamilton at the start of the lap. He finished the lap 4.8 seconds behind him. So he cut in a second, a little over a second, on the fastest car in the field.
So, AJ, I did call an audible here. There's something in the apartment I have to take care of right now, apparently. So we're going to take our scheduled break, just about like 2 minutes more than normal. And when we come back, we can hear about the end of this exciting race. Right back.
All right, so we're back. I really hope I can properly, because otherwise. So Lando gets on the podium, first time in his F1 career. As I put it in the notes, the meme lord is on the podium. And I put this kind of question in here. Does it return to McLaren's glory? Like, McLaren has had some amazing success in Formula 1. But, I mean, it's not even 3-4 years away from McLaren being the laughingstock of the. They were challenging Williams for 18th qualifying. Nicholas Latifi, who is he was the first. Was the first rookie driver to in Europe in general in like 70. Yeah, missed the points by 1.
How pissed do you think he was? Like, do you think he was ready to like scream?
I mean, he was probably just happy he was in 11th. Granted, he was gifted 11th. There were 9 retirements. Because Latifi was driving a Williams. He knows the car's not great.
So, actually, let's go on. So, if there's a retirement, then their numbers just get screened from the position?
Yeah, so they get a DNF.
I didn't realize that.
Here's the funny thing. If there were 11 retirement, so 10th place retired as well, you could have somebody finish in 10th, so getting a world championship point, it's only 1, still get a point, but not finish the race.
Wow.
I think it happened a couple of years ago. It's super, super rare. Yeah, it can happen. So both Red Bulls, both Haas's, George Russell, Lance Stroll, Daniel Ricciardo, and Kimi Räikkönen. Haas were brake failures. Again, turn form for them. Can't figure out brakes. Stroll and Russell had engine problems. It's potentially the same thing that Mercedes seen. So they were both Mercedes-powered cars that went out. Verstappen, it is clear that it's a gearbox issue. It's a pressure issue. And Albon potentially had the same issue. Because he comes in and retires with like 2 laps to go. He was just off pace and said, it's not worth it. He was in 12th. They weren't going to get a point anyway. So there's like, just bring the car. Obviously, Raikkonen lost a wheel. Danny Rick had cooling issues. That was first Austrian Grand Prix.
So how do you feel compared to past years, the race? Because I think this kind of like, obviously, is like the first big one of the season, kind of set your tone, right? Well, how do you feel it was?
Yeah, I mean, it was a fun race. disappointing to see the pace that Ferrari had, because they should be up there with the top three. And obviously they got onto the podium, but kind of out of action.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, it's ridiculous to see Ferrari is the hallowed team.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be fighting for fourth, fifth, and sixth, not second and third. So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of a Ferrari fan because I'm a fan of Sebastian Vettel. So it's tough to see him make these kind of mental errors. But yeah, it's just ridiculous to see the lack of pace that Ferrari,
Mm.
especially when midfield is super, super strong. So if they're going to have to fight for midfield positions, it's not going to be a cakewalk. They're not just going to be given fourth or third. Really going to have to. So then we have the second Austrian race, the Austrian. The Austria. That I believe it's the first time. It's the first time this same track has held races in one. It's not the first time the same country has. UK did it 80s. Silverstone patch the Germany too. Hockenheimring. But it's the first time a race has been identified as effectively the state it's in. This would be like calling the U.S. Texas Grand Prix.
Oh.
Like, that's kind of what the Australian. It's the states, but
They're close enough. They have states.
It's for those of us in the U.S. It's a state. It's a region.
First off, Texas is bigger than like the rest of the world's countries, so
It's not even the biggest state in the U.S.
I know, that's my point. Let me finish. Alaska is bigger than every country in Europe, besides Russia.
Yes.
Which might actually be true when I say that out loud.
I think the only thing that could hold a candle is Turkey.
Germany's pretty damn big.
Germany's the size of Montana.
Okay, never mind. Montana's not a small state also, but yeah. Like, physically, Montana's a big state. We just don't have a lot of people living there. But go on.
So the Australian Grand Prix is, as I put it in the notes, rain has come to. Not V has come to. Rain has
come to.
Let me tell you, I started Death Stranding. Talk about a Kojima-esque game.
I'm excited when we talk about that later. Go on.
Lando Norris has some back or rib. It's unclear where exactly it is. He says, like, basically his chest hurts. Everybody was wondering if it was from the bear hug that Zach Brown gave him at the end of the race last week. Because Zach Brown is not a small man. CEO of McLaren. He's not a small guy. He's an American. And Lando is a very small person. So Zach Brown just basically bear hugged. He break Norris's back by bear hugging him. Full of bane. And the rain was so strong, though, that on Friday, it was strong that on Friday, teams were going out in free practice to basically setting qualifying laps. So if qualifying gets canceled, it's the times from practice 2. Because how it works on a race weekend, Friday is free practice 1 and 2, Saturday is free practice 3 and qualifying. Sunday's the race.
Mm-hmm.
And rain was going to come down like nobody's business on Saturday. They're like, okay, free practice 2, to get some quality laps in. And free practice 3 does get canceled. Qualifying goes ahead in the wet. Anytime there's wet qualifying, it's amazing to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes you'll get cars that kind of outdrive maybe the high pace, but we'll talk about in a sec. But so both Alphas, Sergio Perez, Nicholas Latifi, and Romain Grosjean get the Q1. Kevin Magnussen, Daniel Kvyat, Lance Stroll, and George Russell. Let's be real, he's a Williams driver, and he gets the car into Q2. That's basically a win. Leclerc out in Q2, another Ferrari out in Q2. Guy that sat on pole last year, 11th.
Oof. Big oof.
Hamilton gets the pole by over a second. Seconds.
And I assume that's massive.
It's massive, but it's in the wet, and he actually got it over a guy that's considered to be a wet weather master in Max Verstappen.
Mm-hmm.
But on Max's basically fast lap, he went for a huge slide. Came out at 9 and just lost the back and just slid down the hill. Ton of his time. Norris qualifies 6th. He'll race 9th because he had basically the same penalty Hamilton had.
Mm-hmm.
Where this time he overtook under yellows, which is another 3-place penalty. And he actually got penalty points on his license. I was surprised that it moved Albon, Gasly, and Ricardo up. Sainz qualified 3rd on pace, which is the highest McLaren's qualified since. Again, this is kind of pushing that storyline of maybe McLaren's back. Maybe they have true pace. Vettel only qualifies 10th, so Ferrari's going to run 10th.
Mm-hmm.
They rushed upgrades for second race that were supposed to come in Hungary. Question being, they rushed them too much? Vettel did, though, confident kind of pace. So under heavy loads, practice felt a lot better than he did last week. Leclerc.
Can you guys say, look, this sounds like me trying to pronounce the name. Leclerc?
Leclerc qualified 11th. Took a 3-place penalty for moving Russell to 11th. Highest qualifying. And Stroll to 12th. Race day, dry. It's cool, temperature-wise. So they said it was like, in Fahrenheit, it was almost 20 degrees colder.
Jesus, okay.
I mean, everybody in the paddock was, if they were on the pit crew, they were wearing their fire suits. If they were going to be out on track at the beginning, they were in shorts or in a t-shirt. Anybody that was going to be in the garage the whole time, long sleeves, pants, and either a sweater or a vest or something. It looked pretty chilly, which, I mean, in those garages, it can get pretty cold because you're covered. You're not getting any of the heat from the sun. So if the air temp is 70, it's going to feel like in the mid-60s in that because there's no heat. So this should help. This will help with the track will stay colder for longer, and the cars shouldn't over. But 5 lights, 5 reds, lights go out. Get through turn 1 and turn 2. Then Leclerc goes for the suicide dive and botches it pretty hard. Catches the guy. They're called sausage curbs because they look rounded, but they're put there to basically prevent drivers from. He goes in super deep, effectively what should have been a 2 into 1, but he did a 3 into 1. Gets launched by the sausage curb. Actually, his rear left hits Vettel's wing, basically clean off. So Vettel is just sitting duck. Gets major damage to the floor of his car. So these cars are super aero sensitive on the underneath because they generate a ton of downforce through air traveling through underneath the car through the So it just makes the car a bear to drive if you. Vettel retires almost instantly. And it's really not his. So this is totally Leclerc's fault for the accident. But it's not Vettel's fault for being where he was. He got squeezed in towards the curb. So he was avoiding contact by moving in, and Leclerc just decided, nope. Leclerc does take blame for it. Russell's looking feisty, George.
Feisty?
In the laps, the first few laps, he's racing and he's racing hard. So it's good to see a Williams showing speed. Fortunately, though, he goes wide at turn 5, trims the daisies. Or no, turn 5 is a gravel trap. It's dusty. He was battling with Kevin Magnussen, which K-Mag is known for being a very aggressive driver during battles, and a lot of drivers hate him for it.
Really?
A lot of the current drivers. There are some older drivers that are like, dude, that's how you got to drive.
Just logistically. Because otherwise, I assume without driving aggressively, it's like I assume it's probably like the change in line issues you saw where it was way more accepting to be risky and risk people's lives probably back then than it is now.
Yeah. The risk factor got taken out of these cars. Started getting super safe. So
sometimes it's not more dangerous. Like sometimes you don't do more risky stuff than if it's inherently a lower death rate or injury rate.
It's definitely a lower injury rate. We did have a death last.
And again, I'm not saying any of that's good. It's just, but logistically, like we accept a certain amount of risk in these kind of things.
Yeah. Well, and it's more of it's gotten so damn expensive that for these smaller teams, a Haas and a Williams, to lose a car is a
right.
So you don't want to lose a car. So you don't like seeing your drivers drive this aggressively. Now, there's a point to be made of driving aggressively. If you're just giving up position every time, you're not going to finish well. You're just going to get passed by everyone because they know they can
do it.
They can bully you.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result of his kind of aggressiveness, it led to one of the best sound bites ever a couple of years ago.
Really?
Nico Hulkenberg, who was a driver for Renault at the time, comes up to Kevin Magnussen in the bullpen. And Magnussen's giving an interview. Hulkenberg just walks up and goes, "Hey man, nice driving," super sarcastically. Kevin looks back, sees him, and goes, "Suck my balls, mate." And so then the next race, Kevin had a photo of Ed taped to the bottom of his seat.
Of course he did.
Hulkenberg was sucking his. It's one of the best sound bites. It's just this super can tell Hulkenberg's pissed, and Kevin's like, dude, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Kevin's the only driver that said, I would be driving.
Huh. I assume they don't want you to say that.
Well, so here's the thing. He is a second-generation F1 driver. His dad drove in the 80s and 90s.
So it's more, yeah, okay.
It's a little more accepted. He was taught kind of this super aggressive, kind of devil-may-care attitude, which coming from Dane is pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Renaults are making great pace. It's crazy. Like, this car is a complete set of. This is maybe a glimpse of what's to come. 21. Alonso has proven he can outdrive almost every car that he has driven in F1. He has driven to a result he should have gotten. Probably the only exception were his 2 world titles with Renault. That car was just incredibly dominant. But he challenged Vettel, Alonso, when he was at Ferrari. Challenged Vettel in 2012, I believe, for the world title. That Ferrari should have been finishing 3rd and 4th. From lap 9 to 12, 6th through 11th are all within DRS of each other. So the gaps were all within a second.
Ooh, okay.
So basically, like, if 7th had made a move on 6th, you were just going to see this basically train.
Go chugga.
Of cars with DRS just coming through it. 6th could have easily dropped to 10th or 11th in one straight. The thing of it is, though, you're not going to see a lot of wheel-to-wheel driving in F1, especially drafting, the way like NASCAR does, because these cars are super, super aero-dependent. So they're designed for clean. What I mean by clean air is air that's still, it's not moving, it's not turbulent from coming off of a car.
Mm-hmm.
So they're designed for that clean air to go over the wing, funnels, things like that. So you can really notice when a car gets up behind another car and is trying to take a turn, if they're at speed, the car behind loses a ton of time. So, yeah, and it kind of accordion. 6th through 11th further, and then they get back close. It's about this time that Vettel clears his team for interviews, and he's not overly aggressive. Definitely sounds pissed.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, Charles Leclerc. He calls him Charles. It's his actually pretty good, but so yeah, he's pretty pissed at Leclerc, and Leclerc in his interview takes the blame. She's been known. They show a video of them talking to each other, and it seems pretty feisty. Son. Sergio Perez goes for the suicide dive at turn 3. Makes it stick. Contact. Drives him a little wide. Renaults race each other. Starting on lap 17, showcasing of Austria, where with the 3 DRS straights, as long as you're a second of the guy in front at the detection zone, I think, and can carry DRS, you're going to get that DRS all the way through zones. So turn 4 is because if you didn't make the move turn 3, you're going to make it turn 4. 2 laps later, Ricardo finishes the job, overtaking his teammate Esteban Ocon. This is when we get probably the funniest normally drivers pitch and moan about the car not having grip. Max Verstappen goes, "Hey, I have too much front. Can we take some out?" Which, like, for fans of IndyCar and NASCAR, they're used to hearing drivers saying, like, "Hey, can we take some wedge or some wing?" As far as I know, F1 doesn't have that ability. I think the wings are just stationary.
Mm-hmm.
Can't be adjusted. Which too much front downforce can actually be a problem, because what that'll do is it sucks the nose to the ground. Well, then if you've got the nose to the ground and you go to take a curb, you're gonna lose your wing.
Mm.
And actually, he kind of chips away at his wing, noticing that he's losing front end grip. Like I said, Leclerc hits all of the PR talking points in his interview. Verstappen goes in a little hot, coming down pit road, almost loses it and flips the barrier. So the way that it works is, for these tracks, there is a pit road. And then there's a line where you need to be at pit speed. So you can haul ass down the pit road, but you just need to be at 70 kilometers at pit entry. So you'll see a bunch of these guys just go for it down the pit road as fast as they can. Just slam on the brakes, lock them up. Tires are done anyway, so you're like, screw it, just lock them up. Let's get to the Mercedes is much set on going long on the softs. Pirelli said that they had probably 26 laps in them, and the cars don't seem to be losing any grip 25 in. Cars just seem glued. I was watching it. It's like, okay, this is just ridiculous. Which they did have some laps under the safety car as they were. Esteban Ocon retires a lap later on 26 with an apparent brake temp issue. So the way with these brakes, they're carbon ceramic brakes. So they need to be hot to work. Otherwise, they squeal and they don't work as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you can actually retire from your brakes just not heating. But it looked like his brakes were basically on. So you're looking at, for 1500 degrees centigrade, those brakes. Verstappen's pissed about strategy that they're running because Mercedes is. Carlos Sainz has a slow pit at 30, where the left rear was not going on. Had the same problem the week prior. Ends up putting him behind Grosjean on the track. Bottas takes the soft 35. So basically he extended that tire's life almost 10 laps. Which Pirelli's gotten better about tires being able to last a little bit longer than they say. But to make them last 10 laps, granted 6 of them safety car, that's still
massive,
very impressive. So he pits on 35. Albon went a lap further, but he was kind of in no man's land. He had like 15 seconds either side of him before a car was there. Excuse me. So it wasn't surprising to see his tires last a little bit because he's not battling anybody. Kind of pace the car a little bit. AlphaTauri seems to be hard tire, hardest compound tire. It'll last a long, but it's also the slowest. Everybody else was going medium, and I just gotta say the AlphaTauri logo and livery look amazing. Ricardo is going for medium soft strategy. So he took the mediums to lap 38. Not surprising to see him last that long. But then he goes on to the softs. So he's got 30 laps to go. It'll give him a huge advantage if soft has grip at the end. But, like I said, Pirelli said 25 to 28 on soft. He's got to stretch it for 3 or 4 laps. Otherwise, he's got to come into pit again. And so it's a pretty ballsy strategy, honestly. For those listening, if you're wondering why they have to change the tire compound, it is a rule in F1 that you have to race 2 different tire compounds.
Really?
So you can't just go out on the hard and make hard last the entire race and then hit for hards. Just keep going, do a one stop. Have to change tire. This is also to prevent teams just putting on the softs, setting basically qualifying laps, coming in and pitting every 10, 15 laps. The only time that you can go on one is when it rains. When it rains, that rule is null and void. Kind of to prevent drivers wanting to get on slicks as fast as possible because it's super dangerous. Perez and Sainz have a great fight through 4, 5, 6, 7 combos. So that's coming down the straight from 3. 4 is a pretty fast right hand. It's a braking zone and it's downhill and off camber. It's a very difficult. So basically what that means is the turn's downhill. So you're coming in, turn 3 is higher than turn. So your braking zone is already messed up. And then you want to be on the outside because it's a right hand turn. You want to be as far left on the turn. Cut it in right. And then power out. But the track rolls downhill. It's cambered downhill. So the turn isn't on camber, in which basically on camber means it's sloped towards the apex. Off camber means sloped away. This turn is very difficult to nail with 2 cars. It's not hard with 1 car because you can kind of get super wide coming to it and then just kill a bunch of speed and then slingshot your way. 5 is a fast left, 6 and 7 are a double A, and then 8 is the end of 5, 6, 7, 8.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very, very fun section. It's probably the most fun you're going to have on the track when you're driving it, and drivers in general, because it's the most aggressive part of the track. Otherwise, it's a bunch of hairpins or straights. Pretty flowy. It's pretty fun to watch cars. Hamilton just basically checks out on lap 40. He's already 4.5 up. Verstappen in second. Top 10 are all basically lapping the same pace anyway, so he doesn't need to go hard. Racing Points on lap 45 go toe to toe, starting at turn 3 and 8. Perez just seems to be on another level through that 5, 6, 7, 8 complex. Here's Lance Stroll, and he is just gaining incredible time on Ricardo. Lap 48, it was 6th through 17th were just teammates battling each other, basically. So that's, I put in here, it's pretty unique to see in the modern era because the cars are so competitive. It's interesting to see teams just line up. Let's see, Ricardo's just getting swallowed up. He's way slower than should be expected at this point in time because he's on the softs. Should be fast right now. Gasly pits on 51. Says he's just hard's just not working. Slow. Tio Binotto, the team principal for Ferrari, just a terrible team. I put in here, Ferrari just needs their dominant principal back, a Ross Brawn, I put in here almost a dictator type, because there's so much pressure at Ferrari. Almost no other team has the pressure that Ferrari has. Probably the closest would be Mercedes. They seem to be just way too much pressure at Ferrari for the driver, for the team, everyone. They need somebody that talk to their drivers, get them in line. No, it's just. Perez gets a fastest lap on 3 and is closing in on Albon at an extremely rapid pace. In fact, so fast he closed up over a second the next lap. I was pretty interested here. Antonio Giovinazzi gets the black and white flag, which means he was ignoring track limits 3 times at one specific place. The black and white flag is super rare to see in F1. I put in here, it was probably turn 10, which is the last turn. It was a talking point from a week prior. Stewards were really enforcing track limits here. Around this time, the camera cuts to Verstappen's front wing, and he's got side canard just dangling. Or I put in here too, people were guessing it was probably he just had too much downforce. But again, the front of the car was just sucking down stuff. Verstappen and Bottas have a great battle laps here. And Verstappen just doesn't have enough. Front wings just, even the little bit that he lost is huge, because what it does is the part that he lost funnels the air from the front wing towards the center of the car, run it down.
Mm-hmm.
So he basically lost the right side downforce.
Oh, wow.
From underneath his car. At this point in time, everybody's going for the fastest lap to get that extra point. Sainz, Hamilton, Verstappen they pit and are just going for it. This was in the 60s. Super. Sainz gets a 105.6, which is very fast. This is lap 70. Perez makes contact with Albon in turn 4 again. Albon just can't get turn 4. It actually knocks Perez's front wing loose. So it's still there, but it's really not that effective. Hamilton comes across the line. Mercedes 1-2. It's his 85th win. 7 from. On the last lap, Norris, Stroll, and Ricciardo are all battling position. and Perez is just far enough ahead that it looks like he should be fine, but he isn't. Norris passes him on turn 9, and Perez, it's just a drag race out of 10, barely beats Stroll for 7th. Yeah, so that's how it ends. Pretty fun to watch. Um, they had obviously they can't have the trophies presented. So,
Because Rona.
yeah, distancing. So they have the podium, the trophies on this box, and it's controlled by RC. I'm like,
What?
yeah. And I thought, I just saw a movie, and I'm like, oh, cool. Maybe they did like some like automated system. No,
Mhm.
it's just a dude back there with like, remember the RC car controller with the wheel on the top that turned?
Yeah.
It was that.
That makes it better though, and you know it.
It was pretty funny too. Here's the pinnacle of racing. Everybody considers it to be the pinnacle of racing around the world. Racing and racing. And they're
Yeah.
using some hobbyist RC car. Hamilton looks super confused at first because they didn't do a good job of pulling up to the. So it was a little bit of ways. So he was like, "Do I go down and get it?" But Bottas just picks his up on the fly because he did it prior. He knows how it's going to work. That was pretty fun. Hamilton chased down Toto Wolff, the team principal, spray him with champagne, which it was pretty fun to watch because he's just running. He just takes off and finds him, and he eventually gets him. And ends up spraying basically everybody that works for Mercedes. And his personal trainer, she's got all his bags and stuff like that on him, and he's talking to her, and apparently they finish the conversation. And he just dumps the rest of it on her. And I'm like, it's funny. It's funny to watch drivers chase them down. But if you're not expecting it, like his trainer, I'm sure you're pissed.
Oh, I can imagine.
But Bottas didn't spray anybody because he was chugging it. Pull up. I forget who.
You think you'd write this down, AJ?
Well, it was such a non-event. Verstappen got such a non-event because he was just kind of he was 33. He was 30, almost 34 seconds back
Mm-hmm.
from Hamilton. Finish. It's like, eh. So Hamilton gets his win. He is now, let's see, leading Brit by 11 points.
Mm-hmm.
Lando Norris was the lead Brit. So I think that's the first time a British driver other than Hamilton. Like, so obviously Bottas was in first. Driver, he's in. But Norris was the highest rated driver. So basically, the last time it wasn't Hamilton. Maybe it's been 8 years almost
Mm-hmm.
that Hamilton's had just a stranglehold on the British drivers. That was race 2. Much more eventful.
Yeah, I remember because I didn't get to watch it live. I watched it a little bit after, and you get text. You're like, so there was like a blowout, like immediately. I'm like, what?
Let's see. Let's see. Let's see.
So yeah,
Dude,
so
we've got
what?
Discord. Um. Anyway, you were like something about watching it.
Mm-hmm.
100% watching it live is weird timing wise for me. I'll watch it before. Lap one hit two Ferraris take you. Oh
Mm-hmm.
snap! That's how you were.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So ahead at Hungaro Ring. Basically, the biggest question pre lawsuit between Renault and Racing Point was, will Ferrari implement team order?
Do you think they're going to?
I hope they do.
Just that way they have a little more control of it.
Yeah. Because if you're just going to let your drivers race, you're going to have this happen again.
Mm-hmm.
But now, the biggest question is, will there be any sort of rule Renault Racing Point ruffle? Qualifying is super, super important.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fast track. It's pretty twisty, but it's narrow. There's really not a lot of places to pass.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's effectively 2 cars wide. Wouldn't want to run wheel to wheel. So you can pass, but it's pretty difficult because all the guy in front of you has to do is basically defend his position, and you're into another turn and you're not going to pass. So the battle between Mercedes and Verstappen, definitely the one to watch. Who can come out on top for this? In theory, should be a Red Bull track because it's super downforce dependent.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're known for. They have a very, very downforce dependent tracks like Ring, Monaco, Barcelona. They're pretty. They don't have necessarily the straight out speed that Mercedes, but they can make it up. Racing Point, they have pace. It's because they have last year's Mercedes. So the battle between McLaren, their revival, and Juggernaut, it appears that Racing Point will be a fun battle to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So I think looking forward at the calendar, we've got Ring, we've got 2 races, Spain, Belgium, Italy. So Britain.
Hey, I hate to play an audible again. This is I'm gonna call this as COVID test results. So hold on. Mark the time.
Okay, so let's see. That'll be a fun battle to watch because if the Racing Point is just speed, Mercedes was last year, they'll do very well at Belgium and Spain is. There's a reason they use it for testing. It's a pretty there's no one thing that dominates Spain. It's not like outright speed is going to win Spain. Okay, Silverstone, outright speed is good, but there are some some heavy. So yeah, that'll be watch. This season's shaping up to be mid-pack is the battle to watch. Mercedes is clearly going to walk away with it, but it's who can get third. Because Red Bull's pretty much resigned to getting second. Third is really up for grabs. I mean, Ferrari is not doing great. And so can one of these smaller teams take down Goliath? Third. And I think if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be either McLaren or Mercedes. So yeah, that's what we've got to look forward to. So let me schedule. Next episode will be August 21st, talking Hungary, Silverstone doubleheader, Spain, Spa.
Nice. Yeah. That will be exciting. You'll make me watch more races to slowly understand more what's happening. Besides cars go vroom.
Cars go vroom. They go vroom very fast.
They go vroom vroom because that's very fast vrooms. But yeah, thanks everyone for listening and supporting the new F1 show. Remember, it's on the normal SWW feed. You can follow me on Twitter at Mikey_Maroni. You can follow AJ is it at AJ Losi or is it AJ _? Okay, so AJ _Losi. Keep the underscores, people. Remember, it's how you know it's us. I believe that's all. Remember, you can find a new episode of something every single Friday at anchor.fm/SWW. I know stuff's weird because we're going to do F1 show, so maybe there's going to be less interviews, maybe not, maybe there'll be extra days. There's a lot to determine. I think that is all we have for you this fine week. Thanks again, AJ, for hosting this lovely show. Talking us through the amount of show notes that account for like 5 Google Docs pages, so it takes a lot of work on your end.
I mean, I think I told you it's not hard doing it live.
After the fact would be a pain in the ass.
Yeah, because I mean, I told you. Just they have a YouTube video they put out. I said just watch that but you cannot do show notes just based on those videos because I mean we would have missed out. Let's see. In the first race, we would have missed a bunch of the retirements. Second race, I believe, missed out on the lap 9 to 12 battle, stuff on 15, 17, 18. It stops how they drug them out. Excuse me, by just watching the YouTube video. Did you end up watching?
Yeah.
Official F1?
I ended up watching, I don't know if I watched the entire thing. I think it was like 2-ish hours each.
Oh, the races are about 2 hours, but they... See if I can...
I saw one of them, the recap thing you said. I don't know if I could find the other one. The other one, obviously, a little bit quicker turnaround from when we were recording this.
They're about 6-7 minutes.
Yeah, no, I definitely saw one of those. Yeah. Well, again, thanks everyone for joining us. Have a good, whatever Friday it is, I guess, whenever you listen to this.
It's Friday.
This podcast was a production of The SWW Show. To learn more, go to theswwshow.com. Remember, you can follow the show on Twitter at The SWW Show. You can follow me at Mikey_Maroni. You can follow AJ at LowSeaBoar. Remember, new episodes premiere on Friday, 9 a.m. Central Time on anchor.fm/SWW and podcast services around the globe.